We're back again with actors you might recognize if you're watching the Monsterverse for the first time. Last video was on 2014's Godzilla, give you a little quick glimpse here at who we covered. Now we're going with Kong Skull Island, which came out in 2017. These are going to get more out there and more obscure as we go, so buckle up. First one up's going to look obviously familiar considering he just wrapped up his own Disney Plus show. We got Tom Hiddleston as James Conrad. I don't need to explain this one. He's been Loki in Thor since literally 2009. He played the role for 14 years. You could say that the Monsterverse nabbed him since he was in the MCU first. It really doesn't matter. It's just interesting that we had a lot of the universe building actors from one franchise hop over to another. Next one's been in some of your favorite movies all your life, from Pulp Fiction to The Incredibles to Kingsman Secret Service. I could name 100 movies. Django Unchained, I could keep going, but we got the Sam Jackson, who is in a role you may or may not appreciate in this film. We of course know he's been Nick Fury since 2008. I don't even need to get into that part. We're probably not gonna have to get into a lot of these early ones. But in the Monsterverse, he's Colonel Packard, and the role he plays in Kong Skull Island, it might take you by surprise. Then we got Brie Larson. This pretty much covers the big three that I wanted to do. She was actually in the Monsterverse first. As I said, this movie came out in 2017. I believe Captain Marvel didn't come out until 2018. So probably worked on them relatively simultaneously or back to back. If all that you know her from is Captain Marvel, then you'll have a Leonardo DiCaprio snap your finger moment when she pops up in Kong Skull Island. She's Mason Weaver, and I didn't pick up on it at first, but the more I got into the movie, I realized that she kind of filled the role as like that one white woman that Kong just somehow understands out of all of the humans he's interacting with. Maybe that's a very high oversimplification, but it was how I felt at certain parts in the movie. We're about to start getting into some more uncommon faces. Now, this is John C. Reilly, who plays Hank Marlowe in Kong Skull Island. He's a World War II veteran who got trapped on the island. The brown face might kind of throw you off, but I did consider the fact he's been stranded on an island with no sunscreen for over 20 years. And if you're a big MCU fan, then you might recognize him from Guardians of the Galaxy. I believe it was pronounced Rom Day. He was a member of the Nova Corps. I don't think they survived after the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I might be wrong on that. Some more broader places you might know him from are movies that included his somewhat lookalike Will Ferrell in Step Brothers, as well as Talladega Nights. Now, this was a bit of a newer face, I might add, in comparison to the other ones I've shown you. This is Eugene Cordero. He was in a couple of different Star Trek projects. He's done some voice acting. He was also in The Good Place from 2016 to 2020. But I'll tell you where you've seen him recently, fairly recently, if you're big on the current media. And that's as Casey in Loki. He's one of the members of the TVA that is recurring throughout season 1 and 2. He's Officer Reles and serves as a door gunner for Colonel Packard, Sam Jackson's character in Kong Skull Island. And it's kind of cool to see that he got to work with a lot of the Marvel camp in 2017, only to be reunited with working with Tom Hiddleston in 2021 once we would get the first season of Loki. Next one is the most shockingly obscure one I could find, and that is Corey Hawkins. Now, you might recognize his face from his work as Dr. Dre in Straight Outta Compton or being in Black Klansman. He's most recently actually been in the 2023 release of The Color Purple. Here he is portraying Dr. Houston Brooks in Kong Skull Island, and you might not have known this because I know I didn't know it until I started doing research for this video. And that is that he made an appearance as Random Navy Officer number whatever in Iron Man 3 back in 2013. And next to him is actually Lyndon Ashby, who I know played Styles' dad in Teen Wolf, which was one of my favorite shows. So that was a cool little nod to find while doing research as well. Fun doesn't end there for his character. You'll understand when I go over who plays the older version of him in the Monsterverse series. So stay tuned for that.